Welcome back to FightFest, and it's Battle of the Isles Part 2 to see who out of England, Scotland and Ireland can reign victorious. Last time, we saw the representatives of each country face off against each other for the right to fly the flag. First, for the right to represent Ireland, we saw first-time driver Dec Donnelly with the unique invertible axe robot Herty, on loan from Team Luna. It took on classic Robot Wars legend Minotaur, or Dietor Light, from Peter Redmond and Team Mechatrons. It was a long, drawn-out fight with plenty of tactics involved, and it was so close, two of the judges couldn't pick a winner between them. But in the end, Minotaur nabbed it by 1 point. Talk about living life on the edge. In the second fight, we had two of England's top machines fight each other in a true slugfest. Sergeant Bash replica builder Callum Jones and a certain American champion-inspired drivetrain clashed with the reigning world champions, Adam Hamilton's Amnesia. Adam said this would be a tough draw for him, and he wasn't wrong. Drivetrain proved to be a very slippery customer and managed one of the best counter-attacks we've ever seen. Both bots lasted the full 3 minutes, but only one could go through, and Amnesia won on a unanimous decision. In the last of the first round melees, we had a brutal brawl between not only both Scottish teams, but teammates as well. Dead Metal and Shunt replica builder Jamie McHarg with Renegade, and the best welder in the competition, Rachel Gibson, with Carcinus. Both capable drivers, but Carcinus's wheel position makes it a tricky machine to drive. In the end, Jamie took advantage of the oversteer and threw it all around the arena, eventually into the pit. Renegade went through by knockout. All three losers then took each other on in a redemption melee for the right to be an extra representative for their country. Drivetrain is highly ranked in the UK, so we expected it to be a breeze for Callum, but he decided to kamikaze down the pit, taking Dec and Herty with him. Scotland have the numbers advantage right now. They have two robots in the competition with both Renegade and Carcinus, but England and Ireland have strong competitors in Amnesia and Minotaur. Only one robot will be left by the end of the episode. Let's see who's gonna win. So on to our first semi-final. Renegade for Scotland and Minotaur for Ireland. One will be moving on to the final.
So being loaded into the arena now, we have Minotaur from Ireland. And from Scotland, Renegade. Begin the fight in 3, 2, 1, fight!
The lifting scoop against the low-pressure pneumatic flipper, and it's going to be Minotaur on the chase. We are not used to Dietor being the quickest machine across the arena, but this new featherweight has got the moves. But can it have the self-righting? This has always been a historic weakness for Dietor. They're so nearly back over. Now they are back over because Renegade put them back over. We've seen plenty of sporting flips from them, but that is a weakness confirmed. They have those self-righting poles on the top of the scoop to make sure the robot could self-right this time, but apparently it cannot. It could only be a matter of time before Renegade gets them back over again. Minotaur needs to take advantage of its opponent's kindness and get the job done now, but they're there in the corner. Renegade just missing with a swing. Minotaur, I'm not sure if they even have lifting capabilities left. There we go, it's going to work, but it's going to put them in danger. Right in the cooldown, Renegade flips them, puts them back again. You don't want to get too overconfident, Renegade. Anything could happen at any time. You're representing Scotland alongside Carcinus later in the other semi-final. But for now, Minotaur fighting for survival, not just of the robot, but the poor old boggly eyes. But that is a fantastic attack. Slotting the lifting scoop underneath the armour of Renegade, it does tend to peel away every now and again. That could be damage on the board for Minotaur. We of course don't count the missing fur as damage, but those landings are going to be doing something. Minotaur on a one-way exit out of the arena here if you're going to be in that corner. There's a good lift though, right from the wheels of Renegade. You never know, enough lifts they might just fall off. Oh no, they can't get the lifter back down and they're going to shut it by force. Here's a good side-on attack though, instead keeping the lifter down to go for a prolonged slam across the arena. This is great control from Peter Redmond, showing mastery of his brand new featherweight. Renegade has of course competed at FightFest before. It won a tag team competition alongside Virus once, but now they need to get in the final of Battle of the Isles with one more flip, or it might come down to the judges. Oh. That could be it though.
Counting out.
Minotaur stranded on its back. They can't seem to fire that lifter to push themselves even when they're against the wall. They're
7,
being counted out.
8, 9, 10.
And that's it. 10 and
Eliminated.
also out of the arena. The finishing hurrah from Renegade. They could have done that to begin with, but Minotaur
winner
counted
is
out.
Renegade
A loss by
from
knockout, and
Scotland.
Renegade is moving on to the final. That in the end was a good exhibition of power. Damien McHarg will be waiting for his opponent anytime soon. Could it be the other Scottish machine in a rematch? Or Amnesia?
Okay, so we're here with Peter and Minotaur. You just went out in a very close fight. Did you enjoy it, Peter?
Oh, it was great. Yeah, it was great. I didn't really think I had any chance of beating Renegade because this, as always, cannot self-right. So once he flipped me upside down, that was it. We were a goner.
So is it a case of maybe a few design revisions, or do you not care? Is it all about, you know, keeping to that classic aesthetic? If it gets turned over, it gets turned over.
No, I'm gonna improve this. This one right now has got an electric lifter. I'm gonna change it. Maybe I might put hydraulics back into it again and see if we can get that extra little nudge that we need.
Now, was the original Detour hydraulic?
The original Detour is hydraulic. Yeah.
I think that sounds pretty good. Go back to the old school homage to the original.
Yeah, exactly.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much, Peter.
So here is the other Scottish machine, Carcinus, in its third fight of the competition, but it's got a bit of a nightmare draw here. Amnesia and Carcinus have actually fought before in the very first battle to take place in the FightFest arena, which Carcinus was quickly thrown out of. That was recorded at our pilot event, but now we're underway for the real competition. Can Carcinus spring a surprise?
We have Adam Hamilton's Immersion, the lowest boy there ever was. In this corner, we have the red crab-themed robot, Carcinus, from Scotland, from Team Immersion Heater, I'm told they're called. Driven by Rachel. So, ready to fight in 3, 2, 1, fight!
Lessons learned from that previous encounter. Will we see the claws come into play, or will the wedge of Amnesia just negate the game plan of Carcinus once again? Well, for now, we're not seeing any flipping because Adam is trying to line up the run to the arena wall. Misses on that occasion, so Carcinus is going to keep on fighting. But I mean, how do you grab a hold of Amnesia? It's like fighting with a bar of soap. Just a slightly more sloped bar of soap. We are nearing the pit right now. This is definitely not where you want to be as Carcinus, especially when the claws are closed. They need to open them up again, but it does so quite slowly, I must admit. We could be on the verge of a Scottish final. No, we're not. We're going to see Amnesia throwing Carcinus out of the arena for the second time in its life. Well, it was a fun ride while it lasted, but we will see Carcinus again in the third place playoff, and Amnesia, of course, in the final. And of course, this event and many of the robots competing in it would not be possible without Wranglebox, the top supplier for robotics components across the UK. Check out the website, and thank you as always to Wranglebox for sponsoring and bringing some of our strongest competitors to life.
Now, while our grand finalists are being prepared, we have a little treat in store for you all. In the last episode, you'll remember Light, Fury, Explosion and Euphoria fought in round 3 of their Annihilator. Well, it turns out that all 3 teams decided they might have a little bit of a rematch, but this time with slightly different robots. Oh, and one of the judges is missing as well.
We have a robot called Tragic Roundabout. So, Explosion, an older version of the Explosion you saw earlier, and Panda, which is a robot we have not seen before. Okay, the squad match is ready to go. Ed's nowhere to be seen. Ed, you're a judge. It's always Ed, isn't it? Okay, if we're all ready. So, ready to go in 3, 2, 1, fight!
So there's Explosion, the old one. Taking a look, it's Panda has a good attack, and I don't know, just because it's old doesn't mean it doesn't hit any less. That was a huge flip from old Explosion. And Tragic doing his thing, and almost roof shot there. Explosion! What's this? Has still got huge potential to be a big competitor. But Panda doing his best to take it on, but there's Tragic just sitting, spinning, doing his thing. But Explosion with some massive flips. I would even guess that the flipper on this one is more powerful and more potent than the new version. Panda on the edge of the pit and needs to be careful because it could very nearly go to the pit here. Can it self-right and get out of there? It does, but Explosion not letting up here. I do think the Tragic Roundabout needs to get into this fight more. But look at the power from Explosion. I am loving how powerful this weapon is. And Panda as well with their axe getting right in there is not afraid and almost being thrown out of the arena. Panda bouncing off the walls, ricocheting back into the middle of the arena, taking a few hits off Tragic. Those flailing chains can be ever so menacing. But and there's another great hit. The ground game being won by Panda against Explosion. But yeah, Explosion trying to just get the edge of there, but there's another great couple of hits on by Panda with that axe. Very good axe, very potent. But it does seem to be down now. Is it broken? Has Panda broken its axe? Explosion.
1 minute remaining.
Explosion trying to search for an opening here. If he can get one flip in, it could end the game here with Panda. And that might be game over. Can they self-right? Can Panda get over there? And they're out of the arena. And now it's just Tragic who are doing the run around, trying to get away from that nasty flipper. And there's another massive flip and another huge self-right. No, that was huge, straight across the arena and out of zone. And there is the old version of Explosion doing a bit of a victory dance. And well done to all three teams. What an explosive match. Now, let's get back to the main competition.
Here at FightFest, we do give away trophies for third place. Maybe Minitor can add another trophy alongside its many sportsmanship awards. Let's take a look at the stat cards before we begin. Minitor the heavier machine, both running on relatively old tech, but Minitor maybe slightly more up to date. Carcinus hasn't managed to bring those weapons into play yet, but Minitor would definitely fit inside quite nicely. Could this be the true awakening of the Scottish machine?
Third place playoff for the Battle of the Isles. Scotland versus Ireland. Carcinus versus Minitor. Drivers, 3, 2, 1, fight!
Plenty of titles under Dietor's belt, like Tag Team Terra Champion in 2001, many World Championship placements as well, and the Sportsmanship Awards, but what they want right now is third place in FightFest Battle of the Isles, whereas Carcinus, looking to get a title of its own, they are now wrapping the claws around the lifter of Minitor. We're seeing the weaponry of Carcinus in play for the first time, but the driving power of Minitor stronger anyway, managing to wrap around the tyre. You want to be anywhere other than that. I tell you what, Carcinus, yes, your game plan is to get the other robots in the pit, but not when you're showing those exposed sides. Minitor could be doing it for Ireland, the only country left without a robot in the final, so they will want to make sure that they can win this for the home country. But Carcinus is just keeping out of peril's way. In come the pincers again, grabbing around the lifting scoop of Minitor, which does appear to be out of action. Too much damage sustained in the previous fight against Renegade, too much self-righting and hard landings. But nevertheless, despite being gripped around the lifter, the pushing is all on the team of Minitor. Down the pit goes the grab. Third place will be going to the Republic of Ireland and Team Nemesis. First title in some time since they earned one in China at FMB. But well done to Peter Edmond for a great performance.
At the end, actually. Got a claw going underneath. Yeah.
And there you have it. Republic of Ireland takes third place, but a trophy for Team Nemesis. Always good to see. And of course, this event wouldn't have been possible without Team Immersion Engineering. They designed the arena we're fighting in, they designed some of the robots competing in the arena, and they could design either of those things for you. Hit them up on Facebook, Instagram, anywhere you like, and get in touch for your design and engineering needs.
Okay, we're here with Jamie and Renegade. You're doing a little bit of maintenance. You're in the final against England, obviously yourself representing Scotland. How are you feeling about the matchup?
A little bit nervous, to be honest. Adam is a very good driver and Amnesia is a very good robot. I think the main thing it will come down to is whose wedge or whose front is scraping the ground more, as to who will maybe get the tactical advantage. I can obviously flip him over, but he will just happily self-right and keep doing that all day, and he's got quite a powerful drivetrain, so he might push me into the pit as well. I think my best tactic will be to try and flip him and then maybe try and push him towards either the pit or the walls and try and get him out of the arena. So yeah, a little bit nervous, but it'll be whoever gets the kind of first hit, and I think we'll get the main upper hand.
Well, we're looking forward to the fight. I was chatting to Adam last night and he did let me know that he thought you would be his hardest opponent, so you might have him a little scared.
Yeah, I did speak to him about 5 minutes ago and he is quite panicked. I don't know if that's just whether he gets like that with every fight or whether it's just me, so I'll take that as a compliment that he sees it as a threat, but it also probably means he's going to up his game to the next level. So yeah, it'll be a good match though. It'll be a very good match.
Well, we'll see if Mr. Hamilton can raise his game and whether he cracks under the pressure or not. I'm sure you'll be raring for that fight, Jamie, won't you?
Absolutely, yeah.
Brilliant.
So we've made it to the final, and it comes down to Scotland versus England. But this is how Scotland decided its machine, Renegade, with a dominant win over Carcinus, who would later get a win of its own. We saw Renegade in the semi-final against Minotaur, the best machine from Ireland. And although it did sustain some trouble, it in the end used that low pressure flipper to show exactly why it's in the final, with a killer flip onto Minotaur's back, and then over the wall, the coup de grace. Renegade on the verge of its first ever title. Can it win? Or will it come down to the world champion, Amnesia? Representing England, it's for all around the world. They showed Drivetrain who was boss in the Battle of the English. It was a close affair, but then once it came down to the semi-final against Carcinus, up you go. We get a pair of out of the arena flips in our semi-finals. Will we get another in the grand final? It's Flipper versus Flipper, England versus Scotland. So our two finalists in the arena. Renegade has been loaded up with CO2. Amnesia, of course, electrically powered, so no need for any of that. It shall wait for its foe. But what's this? Jamie of the Renegade team sporting a Team Immersion jersey? Well, you couldn't tell them apart. He's Team Immersion in apparel only, we can certainly say. But he will be representing Scotland here in this final against his Team Immersion adversary. Amnesia, of course, for England and Renegade for Scotland. Renegade the heavier of the two machines. It's got the low pressure flipper, but still a bit more oomph than the front hinge flipper of Amnesia. But Amnesia, with all the control in the world, they can never run out of supply, and so much power in the drive system. It obviously has the lowest wedge in the game, as we've come to know, but Renegade has the power to throw its opponents out of the arena at any second. But can they pull it off? Let's find out right now. Fight. So the robots will come together. Amnesia so low that it bumps into the seams of the floor itself. Obviously finding no difficulty getting underneath Renegade, but Renegade needs so much less purchase to pull off a flip. Amnesia needs to be all the way under if it's going to flip Renegade over, unless of course Renegade flips itself over. The power of that flipper just throwing the robot onto its back. We see the CO2 floods out of the bottom of the machine every time they flip, but you know what? It shouldn't still be leaking. They look to be having a full-on gas leak right now. They still have enough power to self-right, but that means their supply is even more limited than before. They need to end this match in a hurry, or they might not be able to get themselves back over. You don't want to be fighting a wedge war against Amnesia. Oh, there's an attempted flip, but Amnesia pulls away at the last second, and there we go! Slides it into the pit, and it's going to be England winning it in the Battle of the Isles. Amnesia takes another trophy home, but well deserved. A clinical performance from Adam Hamilton and Team Immersion, but a very worthy second place for Renegade. They had a fantastic route to the final, lots of big flips. In the end, it was on themselves. That clever turn away from Amnesia at the last second meant that Renegade flipped itself, it was on its back, and it just looked like a bowling ball as it was slid right into the pit. And here we are on the podium, Dietor and Ireland taking third. Peter will be very happy with that. Jamie and the Pictish Pride, Renegade and Scotland coming second, and our Battle of the Isles champion, Adam and Amnesia, carrying England to victory once again. Next time, the Hobbyweight UK Championship Finals. In the first semi-final, the powerful pusher Revolt will fight the deadly drum Semtex. And in our second semi-final, the vicious vertical Onokuma will take on the slippery serpent Blue Python. Both promising to be two of the series' most insane fights yet. See you next time on FightFest.